Good morning, it's Scott Cullen. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. It's time for another episode of Fridays with Frank. And before I bring out Frank and his special guest this morning, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment. Frank, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm awake, I'll say that. It's been a tough week, but I'm excited about today because it's a subject that fits in very well with we've just been writing about for the benefit of our audience. And in my latest or our latest, frankly speaking piece, I included AI as a significant thing to be aware of and something that should give dealers hope for the future and kind of enforce what I tried to convey is dealers should feel optimistic about the future. But at any rate, allow me to welcome our guest, who is expert in the field, Cody Walton. How are you, Cody? Nice to have you.
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. This is terrific, and glad it's a Friday.
You know, one of the things that Scott and I like to do when we're interviewing somebody like yourself who's bringing something new and something very exciting into the business is put ourselves in dealer shoes and say, all right, these guys, as we get the message, they're going to make our sales team more productive. I got guys who've been tenured for 15 to 20 years. How does that happen? You think I go in and say, here's how you can use this tool? Give us some idea of your thoughts of how AI can help an established dealer who's very successful with a tenured sales force.
Sure. Well, this is one of those things that we've, the industry itself has gone through before, right? And on multiple times. There was a time, and I've worked with many of them, right, that you put a copier on a gurney and you ran it from business to business, you filled up your trunk, and then by the time you got home, that trunk better be empty, right? And next thing you know, you have email. And email comes out and allows for constant contact. Then all of a sudden you had your cell phones and you had iPhones, and that allowed for constant contact. The way that I see AI right now being embraced by those dealers is finding ways to leverage the technology. It's rapidly changing. It's being kind of inserted in all different areas of the sales process. It doesn't change the dynamic where people are still buying from people. And I think that's one of the things that's concerned. But what has changed is a little bit of what a buyer is capable of or doing. So buyers now are more informed than ever before. They're informed through the internet, through research. They know a ton about your brand, your copier, or your MFP, the technologies that you're selling. They've researched it. And so you can use AI in certain ways to help you also understand sort of that buyer's journey. And one of the things that I always look at is objection handling, right? So I want to just kind of give one scenario where I think this is a very easy way to use AI. So you can use one of these large language models, a ChatGPT, if you will, right? And you can take that and you can use ChatGPT to run prompts on what your competitors are presenting as solutions. And you can run your own products through ChatGPT and distill that stuff down. Ask ChatGPT to kind of really focus this into 2 or 3 bullet points. Compare products. And then you're able to really say, hey, I now can identify what would be potential landmines or roadblocks to present, and what I may see coming from a customer. You still have to put that kind of story in place, that anecdote in place, and it still requires a human element. But you can use these products to better understand what your competition's doing. So that's just one scenario. It doesn't really replace a person, but it just gives you more access and to be able to narrow and focus that information real quickly. And then you can communicate that to your customer. So that's just one example where I would say a tenured rep, hey, let's take away and look at how to real quickly look at what your competition's doing from value positioning. And it just gives you a leg up or leverage.
Hey, that's a pretty comprehensive and excellent explanation. Very good, Cody. You hit it, I think, and you hit it rightly. Now let's take this one step further. Are we wrong in thinking that AI also from a dealer perspective could be something that he can turn around and then offer it to his customers on the IT services side?
Absolutely. My first recommendation would be kind of that customer experience. Your end users, I think one of the most common areas, and there's lots of different ways of using AI in the back end and the back office technology. But one on the front side of just customers would be a chatbot, something that you could put on your website to open service tickets to direct that customer to have an immediate contact to kind of get into, directing your service tickets, your service calls. I think that customer experience type chatbots are being used throughout the industry with MSPs and with dealers. And it's a great opportunity to kind of use AI and again, those large language models, that common language to really direct service and give someone an immediate access to serve a ticket instead of sitting on hold.
Let's say where you're sitting down, you're talking to a dealer and he buys into what you're saying, because what you're saying is pretty damn reasonable. Suppose let's put ourselves in the shoes of what we're trying to do of a dealer. How do I implement it? Either in my own salespeople or my own teams, or for the customer? Should one come before the other? In other words, get the expertise, put it on the IT side, then bring it in-house, or vice versa?
Well, so kind of a two-prong answer here. One, you may sort of be selling it already. I know many dealers in the industry are not just capable, but excel in selling things like document management or intelligent information management, ECM products. And a lot of AI capabilities are being inserted to those products as we speak. That technology in that area of process automation, workflow automation, again, so many dealers are participating, and all the brands, a Highland or a Square 9 or even something like a DocuWare. Those products exist, and so they may be already selling that technology in that space. But what I think the first step in any process for a dealer, and this is something that we've done at Konica Minolta, is you really need to kind of create yourself a group, stakeholders, if you will, within your organization where this could have significant impact. But you also need to review and understand your own AI policy before you really do anything. It's so rapidly changing with AI. I mean, I sometimes can't keep up with the technology that was just released yesterday. And then you need to know how that impacts your business, legally, copyrights, all those elements. There's a lot of variables at stake. And then the last thing I would say is that you need to make sure the technology is rapidly changing. And I always would tell a dealer, before you invest too much, the technology may be changed by the time you complete a project. So you need to make sure that you have a nice roadmap of what you're trying to accomplish. I would say that there's tools in place that you can start embracing today. Things like note-taking inside of your virtual environments, things that are embedded in the Microsoft products, really a lot of the technology that's embedded in things like your CRMs. Those things can help your sales force immediately, don't take a very steep learning curve, and you can kind of utilize that technology. The one I always use is the note-taking in these virtual sessions. I'm remote most of the time when I'm not at a dealer. And to be able to engage in conversation and let the AI create the notes and do all the note-taking for you, and then you can go back and review at a later time so that you're engaged one-on-one conversation. It's something very, very easy to embrace. It doesn't change the dynamic. There's not a lot of risk around it. And those are just the simple things that a dealer can do.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was, I think, very, very informative.
And thank you so much for having me. This has been fantastic. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Give my best to everybody at KM.
Will do.
Take care. Thank you.